Russian investigative committee has identified the Ukrainian commander responsible for attacks on civilians in the Belgorod region, Vitali Nashubsky, which between February 17 and March 4, 2023, he issued illegal orders to carry out mortar attacks, demolitions of residential buildings, civilian infrastructure and vehicles in the Shebekhinsky district of the Belgorod region, resulting in injuries to civilians and the destruction of social facilities. Measures are being taken to establish the whereabouts of Vitali Nashubsky and his accomplices. At this background,
режима делает ряд противоречивых заявлений. Особенно это заметно на фоне принимаемых Россией и США усилий по мирному урегулированию украинского кризиса. Зеленский вновь
Facebook page for the provision of Ukraine's law on the ratification of the European Charter for a regional or minority language to be brought in line with an alleged updated translation of the Charter, in which the Russian language is supposedly excluded from the list of protected languages. This is nothing short of linguistic fascism. The true aspirations of Zelensky are evident in his comments following a meeting with the head of the Security Service of Ukraine, Vasily Maluk, on August 6. In his Telegram channel, he praised the special service for its results on destroying Russian air defense systems, which he claimed enables the Ukrainian armed forces to carry out long-range strikes on targets of the Russian military machines and military economy. He also stated that he approved certain operations. It is clear that this refers to attempts to organize new acts of sabotage and terrorism, including with the use of Western weapons. This confirms that the Kyiv regime, as it never contemplated peace, continues to do so now. It views any negotiations as a means to prolong hostilities and maintain power. In this, the regime is supported by the Western so-called partners. On August 5, Pentagon announced that the U.S. State Department had approved the possible sale of Ukraine of equipment and services for the repair and long-term maintenance of 155 millimeters M777 howitzers with $104 million. The contractor will be the British company by system. At the same time, it is emphasized that such a sale will not disturb the basic balance of power in the region. On the same day, Western media announced the start of NATO coordination of regular deliveries of large shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Such steps do not contribute to the achievement of peace. The prolongation of the conflict allows the Western military-industrial complex to pursue its business interests and continue to profit from the war to the last Ukrainian. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson showed particular ingenuity in supporting the Kyiv regime. On the eve of the Pride Parade in Stockholm on August 2, he received representatives of Ukrainian sexual minorities, including veterans of the armed forces of Ukraine. He sweetened his praise for the fight against Russia with the condition that Ukraine's accession to the EU would only be supported if the rights of all minorities, including the LGBT community, are fully guaranteed. It is clear that the head of the Swedish cabinet is not interested in the situation of the Russian-speaking population of Ukraine, which the Kyiv regime is depriving of their rights to their language, culture, and religion. Religion is being attacked in Ukraine at full scale. On August 6, a group of raiders from the schismatic so-called Orthodox Church of Ukraine cut off the locks and seized the Vidyansky Church of the canonical Ukrainian Orthodox Church in the village of Dovbysh, Zhytomyr region, after cutting the electrical cables to avoid video recording of their crime. They were joined by employees of the local territorial center for recruitment and social support who beat parishioners who tried to defend the church. One of the women suffered serious injuries. The police, meanwhile, performed their traditional role of personal security for church robbers. This is how the schismatics of the OSCU have been tasked with destroying canonical orthodoxy in Ukraine, preach love for one's neighbors. The Kyiv authorities continue to gather evidence of the affiliation of the Kyiv metropolis and parishes of the Russian Orthodox Church, which is banned in Ukraine, in order to further fabricate court decisions to deprive them of their registration and liquidate them. A relatively new direction in the Kyiv regime struggle against the UOC is unfolding. The forced mobilization of the clergy, which has already affected a number of priests. At the same time, 7,726 other religious denominations, including the OCU and new pagan communities, have been exempted from conscription. Thus, the parishes of the UOC are being deliberately decapitated, and priests are being sent to certain death on the front lines. Of course, there is no question of any observance of rights and the law. It was the representatives of New York was worried about that, and they condemned the situation and expressed support to the Orthodox Ukrainians. The Stefan Forty, the head, said that these attacks on the church is illegal, and expressed gratitude to the American representative he expressed in Senate protecting the Orthodox Church. In Ukraine, they are fighting not only against the religion, but also the cultural inheritance. In one of the regions, a memorial was destroyed on August 7. News spread across the internet that in the village of Dikanka in the Poltava region, known for the creative legacy of the great Russian writer Gogol, their neo-Nazi savages dismantled a bas-relief of a Soviet military order from a monument to soldiers who died in battles with the Nazis. Similar acts of vandalism were committed against monuments in the villages of Podgansky and Podbruzny in the Rivne region, in the villages of Verbna, Ustia, and Kustian in the Rivna region. Barbarians destroyed commemorative inscriptions on memorials to those who fell fighting German Nazism. In the village of Mizich and the Rivna region, a monument was destroyed. A monument to Pushkin was destroyed in Odessa region. In Belgorod on the August 6th, in the village of Domostova in Poland, immigrants of Ukraine painted the Bandera flag on a monument to the victims of the Volhynia massacre and inscribed an inscription glorifying the executioners from the UPA. This is the gratitude shown by Ukraine.
Следует сказать, что паблики, украинские паблики растиражировали скриншоты с фотографиями из аккаунтов в социальных сетях сотрудницы Святошинского районного суда в Киеве Анастасии Мирзак, на которых она в компании молодых людей держит в руках флаг нацистской Германии со
In order to counter the spread of crime in the ICT sphere, Russia is aiming for close law enforcement cooperation with all states. One of the tools for such cooperation is the UN Convention Against Cybercrime, approved in December 2024 by the UN General Assembly. In this regard, it is becoming increasingly important to sign it in Hanoi in October 25-26 and ensure its prompt entry into force.
We move on to other international news. In particular, we're speaking about France and the attempts to give a museum theme legal traction of the ICC in investigations against Russia. The French NGO for Ukraine for their freedom and ours decided to focus on the theft of material heritage in Ukraine and has appealed to the International Criminal Court to initiate a new investigation against Russia. And thus, we have to point out the following aspects. First, Russia's official stance on the discredited pseudo-justice institution is well known. It is obvious that the organizer is Manuel Daoud, who is seeking a high-profile political reputation for himself. No consequences for our country will follow from his submission to the ICC.